Okay, so this video, I just want to show um, how to use Adobe Firefly, and I am suggesting Adobe Firefly to create your podcast cover art unless you have something that you want to generate original artwork. So I'm in my Creative Cloud Launchpad. I apologize if there's background noise. I'm having to use Starbucks Wi-Fi. And so here is my Adobe Firefly window. And the podcast cover art that you see when you're watching the Meetings of Dress podcast or the lessons was actually generated through Adobe Firefly. So what we're going to do is use text to image to generate, and I remember having to use quite a few different terms. So just see, this is the image that was generated. Let's see if I get the same thing if I put that in. So psychology, global, cultural. I think I used high fashion. Let's see. Let's put in a bunch of different dress, fashion. And what you can do is just put in the topics of your podcast or some keywords. You can even use a glossary that was posted to put in some keywords. Put in global, psychology. So let's see what it generates. So you can see my prompts here. I have it suggestions turned on. It's going to give me 3 images for a preview. And this is going to be my aspect ratio here on how I want it sized. And I chose art for the content type. I could also choose photo and generate again and see what it gives me. I actually like some of these are really nice. I can generate again and see what it gives me as a photo. Okay, and then actually I like the artistic better. So you can upload reference photos. So just be careful if you're uploading photos, because remember that this will be open use because we're still trying to figure out AI and all the guidelines. So AI learns from what information it receives. So your images may pop up in somebody else's search somewhere. So just be careful what you upload. They do have a gallery for references, so you can choose like a specific type of style. So let's say I go back to art, generate, and let's say I want to upload a reference photo. I can just click here. I can browse the gallery, and maybe I like the style of some of these photos. I can generate again. So I really just want to get you started with using AI, and I feel like this is a good opportunity because you're creating some cover art, and this will give you a starting point. Okay, this is actually really interesting. I like some of these. Let's see. And this is just a quick, you can go in and choose some effects also. So let's say I wanted it to look a little bit more cartoonish. Let's generate. I can choose different art techniques. I can change the color and tone here. Yeah, I don't actually. Well, maybe the hyper realistic movie. I don't actually like the reference photo. Ooh, okay, big difference. can change the lighting, you can change the camera angle. So keep putting in and changing your prompts. So this is actually kind of cool. I really like this one. So if I see one that I like, I can download it, and you can go in and further edit it in Adobe Express. So it just downloaded my file, and it's just showing you can create a social media post, add text, and we're going to go into Adobe Express to edit it a little bit more. Yeah, I really like that one. Okay. I'm going back to my Creative Cloud Launchpad to open Adobe Express. And remember, these two are web-based. So okay, and because it's web-based, anything that you create in Adobe Express, you can see all my recent documents um, will be in your stuff. I can upload. So I think what I'm gonna do is I can choose a template, but I think what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just do photo. Um, well, we could just get started with the image. Maybe that might be best. So let's choose an image. Click open, and I do want this to be square. And I'm basically just going to add some text. Now later, if you want to create a video using this cover art, which my intro sample was done, I'm just resizing here to fit the artboard. I can also bring in some audio or do a voiceover on this to create a file for my podcast before I upload it to a different podcast. So that can also be done in here. So I'm just going to add some text. This was just see my layers here. So this is my photo layer. This is my text layer. If I needed to change the order, just click and drag. And I have all my text options here. Definitely want to change the color of the text. And I like to eyedrop text color from the image. Let's see what suggestions it gives to us for fonts. I like this. Change the size. And that's pretty simple for some pretty nice cover art for your podcast. So, meanings of dress, I'm going to go ahead and save it. So, a couple different things you can do here. If you want just the image, you can download it as a PNG or JPEG. You can also do a PDF. I would suggest doing a PNG or a JPEG. PNG is going to give you the best quality. If you need to share this, if you added audio, so let's see if I can add audio to this. So I can do a voiceover. So if I go to media, this will allow me to bring in it'll create a WAV file. If you create audio, so let's say you record something on your phone, or later I'll show how to use a podcast, different podcast platforms just for your original audio. If you want to add that here, you can just kind of drag and drop it. You can upload from your device. I'm not sure if I have any audio. Let's see. I think I might have one. Okay, here's the introduction mixed out. So it'll just come in here, and if I start playing, there's my intro. So initially, this is how I recorded the podcast, and I'll also show how to do it in Adobe Audition, just so you'll have a couple options. This is a little bit more user friendly. I can also record a voiceover, so I can add some more audio by doing a voiceover here. You can record your podcast straight into Adobe Express. If I wanted to create a link for this, I could go ahead and now, give it a minute to finish producing my image. You can share, and what it'll do once it's done is I can get a link to go back to this to play it, or I can download it as an MP4. Just take a minute. And it does take a while to render in Adobe Express. Okay, so now I should be able to go in here and download as an MP4. And I can click download, and that file will just show up in my downloads. Or I can go to share, click publish to web, and I'll give this a title. And click publish link. It will publish your design, and a link will pop up at the bottom that you can then share. And because this is web-based, sometimes it does take a while. So I can copy that link, and then that's a link that I can use. Okay, so this is how I want you to approach creating your podcast art. I really think that Adobe Firefly is perfect for this. If you do have something original that you've drawn that you want to include, you can. There are also some templates that we kind of walk through templates for the first introduction activity that you can use. But I think Firefly is great for coming up with a more conceptual image for your podcast artwork. Try to have fun with this. And hopefully, I don't know, if there's some good discussion, some good content, you'll continue to create the podcast episodes and publish those.